This took place in Kansas in 2011. Kayla was just a regular teenager, navigating high school, friends, and the early days of social media. She had recently drifted apart from her former best friend, but that's normal, right? Friendships change, people move on, but someone wasn't ready to move on. Someone was watching Kayla very closely. One day, Kayla received a friend request from a cute teenage boy named David. He seemed perfect. He was charming, funny, and he really seemed to understand her. They started talking every day. Messages turned into hours of conversation. David became someone Kayla could confide in, someone who made her feel special. But David wasn't real. Over the course of several months, David wasn't the only new person in Kayla's life. Other accounts started popping up, friends of David, people who seemed to know about her life in oddly specific ways. It was like a whole community had formed around her online. And then things got dark. David started encouraging Kayla towards self-destructive behavior. The conversations became manipulative, twisted. He would say things that made her question her self-worth. He isolated her from her real friends. The psychological manipulation was relentless. When the truth finally came out, it was almost unbelievable. David didn't exist. None of those accounts were real people. They were all created by one person, her former best friend's mother. Let that sink in. An adult woman spent months, possibly years, creating an elaborate network of fake identities to psychologically torment a teenager. The woman used her knowledge of Kayla's life, her insecurities, her vulnerabilities, and weaponized them. When authorities finally got involved, the perpetrator was charged. But here's where the horror continues. She received minimal jail time. The laws around catfishing were so inadequate that this woman who orchestrated months of psychological abuse barely faced consequences. Kayla's life was forever changed. The betrayal, the manipulation, the discovery that someone she once trusted had orchestrated such cruelty. It left deep psychological scars. This case sparked national conversations about the need for stronger catfishing laws. But for Kayla, those conversations came too late. In 2012, Manti Te'o was living the American dream. He was a star linebacker at Notre Dame, a Heisman Trophy finalist, and had a tragic but inspiring story that captivated the nation. You see, Te'o had reportedly lost both his grandmother and his girlfriend Lenny Kekua within hours of each other. Despite this devastating loss, he played one of the best games of his career just days later. The media ate it up. Here was a young man showing incredible resilience in the face of unimaginable grief. Sports Illustrated featured his story. ESPN covered it extensively. Manti Te'o became a household name, not just for his athletic ability, but for his character. There was just one problem. Lenny Kekua never existed. Te'o had been in what he believed was a long-distance relationship for 3 years. 3 years. They talked constantly, online messages, phone calls, video chats, except actually no video chats. They had never met in person, but Te'o thought that would change soon. He believed in this relationship completely. When Lenny supposedly died of leukemia, Te'o was genuinely devastated. He mourned her publicly. He dedicated games to her memory. His teammates supported him through his grief. Then, in January 2013, the sports blog Deadspin published an investigation that would shock the world. They revealed that Lenny Kekua was not a real person. The photos used were of someone else entirely. The entire relationship was a fabrication. The person behind it all? A man named Ronaya Tuiasosopo. Tuiasosopo later claimed he had created Lenny as part of his own struggle with identity, and that he had fallen in love with Te'o. But the damage was done. The story that had made Te'o a national hero now made him a national punchline. People questioned everything. Was Te'o in on it? Was it a publicity stunt? How could someone be in a relationship for 3 years without meeting the person? But put yourself in Toe's shoes. He grew up in a close-knit community. He was trusting. He had no reason to believe someone would create such an elaborate deception. And this was 2012. Catfishing wasn't the widely known phenomenon it is today. The hoax affected everything. His NFL draft stock dropped. His reputation was tarnished. Even though he was the victim, he couldn't escape the stigma. Manti Te'o eventually recovered and had a decent NFL career, but the shadow of the catfishing scandal never fully went away. It's still the first thing people remember about him. In 2005, Thomas Montgomery was a 47-year-old married man living in upstate New York. He worked at a factory and had a seemingly normal life. But online, he was living a fantasy. Montgomery created a persona named Tommy, claiming to be an 18-year-old Marine sniper fresh from Iraq. With this identity, he entered online chat rooms and started talking to a teenage girl. The relationship became intense, with Montgomery fully immersed in his fake identity. But then something happened that would spiral everything out of control. Montgomery's 22-year-old co-worker Brian Barrett also started talking to the same girl. Except Barrett was honest. He used his real identity, his real age, his real life. When Montgomery found out that Barrett was talking to this girl, something inside him snapped. He became consumed with jealousy. How dare this young, real person compete with his fantasy? The girl, now aware that Tommy was actually a middle-aged man, was understandably disturbed. She cut off contact with Montgomery. Montgomery blamed Barrett for ruining everything. On September 15, 2006, Thomas Montgomery waited in the parking lot of the factory where he and Barrett worked. When Barrett left work that night, Montgomery shot and killed him. A young man lost his life because a middle-aged man was so deep in his online fantasy that he couldn't separate fiction from reality. Barrett's crime, telling the truth. Montgomery was arrested, tried, and convicted of second-degree murder. He's currently serving a 20-year-to-life sentence. This case shows the darkest extreme of what happens when people lose themselves in online deception. Montgomery had created an identity so far removed from reality that when it was threatened, he resorted to violence. Brian Barrett's family had to bury their son because of a catfishing scheme he wasn't even part of creating. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, talking to the wrong person.